it's okay. It's scary to talk about these things, but no one's coming for you. Do you know what I mean? You're just telling your own experience.
I mean, I wouldn't say that's true, but...
Oof. Emmy and Eva, welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
I'm so happy to have you guys on. I've been waiting for this for a hot minute. Introduce yourselves.
Do you want to go first?
You always go first.
Hello, I'm Eva.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really not used to this. I'm really not used to being...
To be fair, you guys filmed just you two as well. So this is-
Yeah, I know.
Usually
that's
we're
true.
like this.
Yeah.
Across.
And now it's like an interview format.
Yeah.
I'm
okay.
very excited. But yeah, go on. Introduce yourself.
So, I'm Eva.
Mm-hmm.
I am a talent manager. I'm also the director of Niche Commercial. Why does it make me cringe saying that?
That's not cringe.
But it makes me cringe being like, yeah, I'm director. I don't know, it's because I'm not used to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough.
Um,
Because you don't go around like introduce yourself to people like, I'm the director of Niche.
I know. So when someone asks you to actually introduce yourself,
Mhm.
I don't know.
Also, is that an awkward question?
Yeah.
If someone asked me, I wouldn't be like, I'm host of the podcast. Get to the guy, I'd be like, I don't do anything, I'm unemployed.
Yeah, I'm just good. Yeah.
Is that what you do?
That's what I do.
That's what you do.
That's what I do.
Yeah. I'm Emmy, and I'm director of the Estate Collective.
I think people think we work together.
Yeah, a lot of people think we
Mhm.
are like
Yeah.
run the same business. We do not.
That's what I thought when I met you both. I was
Everyone
like,
does. Though,
everyone
yeah.
does.
oh, you guys work together. So, are you just like besties?
Yeah. But
But you also do kind of work
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
So, how does that work?
we do help each other a lot.
Yeah. So my agency started first,
Mm-hmm.
and it started before I got like an internship, and the internship's where I met Eva, and she was working there, and then I left the internship to continue doing my own thing, and she ended up leaving and getting another job and then starting her own business and stuff. So we've
Yeah.
all both like been doing our own things separately, but like at the same time, but then always helping each other.
Yeah, we do like help each other out, kind of talk about campaigns and stuff that each could work on. Or
Yeah, like we send each other talent, and I'll be like, oh, this person would be so good for you, and then Eva would send us, be like, found this person, like she's your vibe kind of thing. So we both have like quite different talent vibes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Like a lot of your talent's based in England.
Yeah.
Mine, most of them are based in Scotland.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have different niches.
So, when you say you have like different vibes, like what's your vibe and what's your vibe?
Honestly, I think if you look at the two, even just like the branding, you can see quite like a split, like divide, like difference.
How do you know what's for you? Like, how do you tell from someone's Instagram, like, they're a bit of me, I'd like to...
We
to
can just
manage
tell
them?
straight away.
Oh, really?
Because like we know what we're looking for. Well, like my
Yeah.
agency is quite different because I have staff who help, well, my sister who's on payroll, who helps me run the company, but she has half of the talent, whereas Eva does it all herself.
Is that not a lot?
Well, I kind of work things in a certain way where it's like I have a lot of talent that are like they work full time as like influencers, and the rest are kind of like do it part time, kind of on the side of their other jobs. So I kind of obviously have a focus on the full time creators. And yeah, I mean, I am getting to the point now where I'm like, I need to outsource for other jobs and things like that, but I'm quite conscious that I want to be very involved and be the main kind of point of contact for anyone that I bring on.
I also think, like, when you've got something that's yours, you want to be the one that's in control of it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
So I'm kind of like outsourcing for like admin accounts, obviously, and also just like now like kind of like the social
and you know what you
media
like.
side.
You're
Exactly.
particular about what you like. You know what you like. And
Yeah.
you could only trust someone if you really knew that they understood your vision, because otherwise you're like it grinds your gears and you're like, this is not what I want.
And I think it's a trust thing as well. I think that's why you're so lucky to have your sister, because
Oh yeah, I couldn't have anyone else do it.
yeah.
Like, I find it hard to trust people. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, you're not
And
gonna understand.
yeah, I think when you've been shot in the foot in the past, etc., it's like you're very, very conscious of who you work with.
Let's
and things
talk
like
about that. Let's
Yeah.
unpack that.
Yeah.
You guys met in an internship.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's where we met. We've talked about that on our
pod
before.
And we didn't know each other before.
We didn't know of each other. We followed each other on Instagram, but friends. We never had like conversations or anything before. Yeah. Like I messaged you and I was applying for that internship, asking her if it was good because I knew she worked there, and that's how we sort of became friends.
No, shit, did not apply.
No, she was like, yeah, great, go for it. I was thinking,
please help me out of here.
I'm trying to think, when was that? Was it the October?
Yeah, that was for the October. I was like just gonna check my DMs, but it was.
I think I was in Manchester
because I finished in December.
Right. Okay. It was the October time, and you know what? At that point, you're jokingly saying like no, but in my head, I think I was like, at that point, I was like, I really don't know how I feel about this anymore. So I actually was thinking that.
But you didn't tell me that.
No, because I
can't.
But
also, like, you know what I mean? I shouldn't really know you well enough at that point.
Yeah, that's true.
Run for your life.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't be doing that. So let's talk a wee bit about the internship. Where did it all go wrong? Or like, how was it at the start? Like, you must have obviously enjoyed it and been like, oh my god, this is great. And then things must have turned a bit sour.
You start because you were there first and longer.
Yeah. So I think the kind of timing that it was like basically the end of lockdown. Mm-hmm. So it was like early 2021, and honestly, like, I had been really like wanting to get into the industry, and there's not much of it in Scotland. Mm-hmm. So when I did get involved in the internship, I was really happy, and like I had so many things that went on that I really enjoyed. Like, don't get me wrong, it was not a bad experience, like, fully. There was a lot of things I did probably learn from, and it was a really good experience. I'm trying to articulate this.
You can just say it how it is as well.
Yeah.
No one's going to come for you. If they do, let's get through me first.
I'm so glad that I did it. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of things, like I said, I probably learned from. I think what I do think is that I actually knew more than I thought I did before going into it.
That was the same with me. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Do you think you were maybe over-experienced?
I think you were.
Yes, 1,000%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think when I first got into it, I probably did need the experience, because like I had never had the experience of managing anyone, never mind influencers, or do you know what I mean? I'd say like the first like 3-4 months, like I was working unpaid, so that was another difficult thing. I was lucky that I was at uni and I still had like my student loan and stuff. Otherwise I would have had no money at all, like and I didn't really have time to work on the side, and obviously not everyone can do that as well. Like I didn't have rent to pay or anything at the time. Yeah, I mean, I did definitely learn a lot, and I was having so much fun. Like I would say at that time, coming out of lockdown and having all these experiences, like it was really great. I think that what often happens, I think this is like a normal industry thing, is that when young people, because I was just turned 19 at the time, I think young people go into businesses because they really want to get experience, and it's so hard to get experience that they want to go in and they want to make like such a good impression.
Yep.
And I think I went in with like a really good work ethic, and not to, you know, big myself up here, but I definitely knew what I was talking about. There was obviously things that they taught me, I would say, in terms of like doing invoices and accounts is not something that I'd done before. Not that I really did accounts, but like invoices and things like that, admin side of things, there was things that they taught me. But I think in terms of like the industry and knowledge, I don't know, I feel like there was a lot that I felt like I actually did bring a lot to the table.
You did.
Like
do you think that they kind of looked down on you, or like spoke down on you as if like you didn't really know what you're doing?
Honestly, at the start, no. Because I
love Emmy's face. She's just like, spill the fucking tea.
Well, I'm trying to be as fair as possible.
Yeah, but also we both have very different experiences.
Yeah. Just say it how it is, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to, like, and I appreciate, like, I completely understand where you're coming from. Like, I love that I got the experience, and also have now had a bad experience so early on in your career, so you now know what it's like, and it's better to just get that out the way, and you can say that, but don't sugarcoat it. Do you know what I mean?
Okay,
like if it's shit, it's shit.
So
like I'll expose every restaurant that I've worked in that were pish. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, so I'm trying to think where I was at when I was talking there. Yeah, so I did the internship, and at the end of that, what I was actually saying was I kind of came in, I think, doing as much as I possibly could. And I almost think coming in and doing that, I set a really high expectation of myself, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But I literally, from I first walked in the door, essentially was working 9 to 5, if not longer. By the end of it, I was literally working from 7, 8 in the morning until 10 at night. I was having conversations with the talent that I managed, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I mean...
How much were you getting paid?
So, I did the internship.
How long was that?
That was... How long did I do that for? How long was the set?
It's 6 or 8 weeks.
It was April, May, June.
That's unpaid?
Yeah, it was about 8 to 12 weeks. I can't remember because it was so long ago now.
Unpaid internships are pretty shit.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
They're illegal.
I didn't.
Are they illegal now? I thought they weren't illegal.
They're illegal unless it's a registered charity that you're volunteering for, part of your uni course credits. That's pretty much it.
Now that's interesting. So that was illegal.
Yeah, I didn't really know that at the time.
Yeah, I mean, you were a kid. How were you supposed to know?
I know, well,
I brought that up with them that's the reason why I left my internship, because I said my dad told me this is illegal, and they were like, well, yeah, technically it is, but we've spoken to our lawyer or whatever, and they've said if you feel like you're gaining something from it, then it's okay. And my dad was like, leave immediately.
That's so gaslighting.
I think it was probably their accountant. I don't think they had a lawyer.
Yeah, but that's what they said to me. I was like, hey, my dad said this is illegal, and they were like, yeah, but if you feel like you're learning something. I was like, well, I'm not.
Honestly, the other thing as well, when I think of how much I travelled through as well, so
where were you living?
So I was living in West Lothian and was driving to Glasgow area, which is 40 minutes, but I mean,
I'm sorry, but still, that's a lot of petrol for someone who's not getting paid.
Yeah.
So once that internship period was over, they offered you a job?
They offered me a job, but this is where I think everything sort of went wrong. So the job they offered me initially was a part-time role. And I think I was getting paid £500 a month. I'm trying to remember how many hours I was doing.
What?
Yeah, it was 5. But I think the hours were again, this was so long ago, but the hours were it was meant to be 15, 20 hours a week. I don't know what that adds up to. It was so, like I said, it was so long ago, but I know that it was not, it wasn't much for how much I was doing.
So were you doing those 15, 20 hours a week?
I was doing, I was doing full time. I was working full time, and I obviously told them that, and I think they did kind of increase my hours at points, and then they did end up offering me a full-time role in the September, but that was a whole other thing, and that's where I started to feel quite uncomfortable and quite I didn't not resentful, but at that point I just became not very happy. So they were quite keen for me to leave uni, which they did say we don't want to push you to do this, but
you should do it.
Yeah, basically.
I just think that's ridiculous. You don't ask someone who you're paying part-time to do a full-time job.
An angel and a devil here. You're nah, literally push them to the ground.
So what?
And you're there oh no, but I still got great experience.
What employer asks their employee to drop out of uni?
Well, this was the thing. It was if you,
unless you were getting 60k, I'd be I sound
well, this is the thing. So obviously, speaking to people around me, it was well, if they're going to offer you I'm going to literally
a good amount of
if they were going to offer me at least 25k, which
even then that is
never
lowballing it.
I know. I was happy to you know what, actually I'm
you were so young.
Uni. I know
you were so young, and they fully took advantage of that.
Well, and what was said to me, and this is where I was is if you don't take the full-time job, we'll just replace you, essentially, is what they said. It was like, but at this point, I had been doing this for about 6 months, and I would say I was doing so much of the work. Like, I know now that, like, they do have more talent now, but the amount of people that I was managing, plus doing, like, an external campaign where I was doing all the influencer outreach. Thank God you came on when you did, because Emmy basically came on and she took that, like, you basically took it over, because I literally couldn't do it.
Did it take a toll on your mental health?
I think basically I didn't take I didn't have a holiday from March until December.
Because there was no contracts.
No, that was...
So you don't get, like, the normal benefits of your legal holiday leave and stuff like that.
So, yeah.
No sick days.
If I had straight up went, I didn't ask for a day off, but I couldn't. Like, I couldn't, because I was the main point of contact for all of these girls that are working full time, and yeah, I mean, it kind of all just, yeah, my mental health definitely did suffer by the end of it. I was so burnt out, so I moved. I got a flat
in Glasgow.
Just outside Glasgow, and
were you living alone?
No. I had a flatmate that I'd gone to school with, which all worked out. Like, it was really ideal that I could move in with her. But then this was around the time that they'd offered me the full-time job, and I basically said, I need to go away and think about this, because I don't think this wage is going to cover my life, because it was, I was going away with like a month, which, like, I mean, is that standard?
Yeah,
that's not bad.
But it was, I basically didn't really think I was going to have enough to cover, like, my whole life. And I said that to them. I said, I don't know if I can, leave uni and not have my student loan anymore. And they just obviously weren't very happy with that. But I think from that point, it was like, you should be grateful that we've offered you this and offered you to work for us. But
and could they not have just, like, supported you through uni and then at the end offered you a job?
I mean, in parts I get it, because they
would never.
Like, it's...
I'm excited to get to you.
I know, Emmy, I'll probably just go straight in. I mean, I understand, as a business owner now, would I take someone on who was in uni, and could they do full time what I was doing whilst being at uni? I could, but that is because I prioritised my job. I didn't go into uni. I completed the work, but I didn't go into uni.
But, like, that's just morally not on.
I know, I know, but I don't know. It's difficult, because I'm just the kind of person that I try and see things from other people's point of view. I think that's why I was there for, even when I wasn't, like, happy, I still kept going above and beyond, because I was like, oh, I kind of get it though. I understand. Like, but that's my personality, and it needs to change.
Yeah,
I need to stop being so guilty. Feeling so guilty all the time.
Go for it. Launch it.
So I actually started my agency in March of 2021, and then I was working, I don't even know where I was. I think I was maybe still in retail, but I applied for 2 jobs. One was this internship, but they didn't advertise it as an internship. There was, like,
they advertise it as? It
was just like there was a social media position and a talent management thing, and then when I applied, they're like, oh, we actually have, like, this internship going if you want to apply for it. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. And then I messaged Eva and was, like, asking her for advice, because they were like, let us know which one you want to apply for. There was, like, 2 roles. And I was like, what's the difference? And she's like, just both. Just apply for both and see.
I was probably like, come and help me.
Yeah. You're like, you could come and do talent stuff.
Because you've been so nice about it. Do you know what I mean? You're like, oh, it is so nice. And you're like, nah. Like,
I feel like once you talk, I'll maybe open up to be more like...
Yeah.
It's okay. It's scary to talk about these things, but no one's coming for it. You know what I mean? You're just telling your own experience.
I mean, I wouldn't say that's true, but... Oof. I messaged Eva, and she was like, go for the talent one, because you'll probably be able to do some social stuff too, whatever. So I ended up going through it. There was like creative tasks that you had to do. Then there was like interviews, etc., etc. And at the same time that I applied for that, I applied for a social media job for a bridal shop in Edinburgh.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, so I ended up getting them both.
Of course.
But the social media job was full time on a salary, and then the internship, they're like, at the very end of the process, they're like, yeah, we'd love to give you the job, but it is unpaid. And I was like, well, you didn't say that. Like,
that's so cheeky.
Yeah,
that's
like,
so cheeky.
Be upfront with it. So
yeah.
I was like, okay. So I was like, oh my god, I really want to take the internship, because that's like what I've been doing since March, because I actually had 4 talent that I was managing myself at that point already, freelance, but it was like friends and friends of friends, but it was still on like a semi full-time basis, like, I don't think, every day.
Sorry, interrupting you. I don't think that you felt like you were capable of doing.
Yeah. So like my agency had started in March, but I wasn't public with it until October. Okay. Because I thought, like, I was doing it behind the scenes, and like we had websites, had emails, I was working with brands on a daily basis, but I didn't think that I had enough. I followed
you for a while, so I kind of saw you were doing something.
Yeah, so I thought I needed like industry experience or agency work before I could like run my own business, even though I was doing it already. Like I fully had an agency and had been running that for months.
You probably just needed that little like push of confidence. Yeah, you know what I mean?
So I was like, maybe if I go and do this unpaid internship, I would see how they're running it and how it works, maybe learn stuff from them and like things that I didn't know, because there's probably a lot that I don't already know. So I was like, I really want to take this. And my dad was like, if you're going to take that, do both, because at least you're getting paid for something.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, and he's like, you're not guaranteed a job at the end of the 12 weeks or whatever it was. I ended up only staying like 6.
You only stayed 6?
Yeah.
We'll tell you about
the end. So I was like, oh, if I just like get this internship and then like show them that I'm good, then maybe they'd want to keep me around, and then I'd have a job, and then I don't have to have this other one.
And either way, you got the experience for the CV.
Yep. So I fully went into this like hoping that at the end they'd give me a job and I'd be working there for like years, because I was like, my own freelance stuff isn't that serious, because I'm not a professional, even though I was. So I went into it, and then my first day, she pretty much like, you came. Okay. They made Eva come. There was no need for Eva to come. She just sat me down and she was like, so this is how we run everything. Here's our media kits. Here's how we do everything. Eva's going to come and show you what to do. And then she spoke to me for about like 20 minutes and then was like, well, actually, you already know what you're doing. So I'm just going to give you the emails and then just leave you to it. Like, just throw you in the deep end because you can handle it.
Well, see, when I remember being sat there that day and going, why is she doing this?
Yeah.
I literally was sat there like, what are you doing here, babe?
Because I was like, I thought I was going to go in. They were like in the middle of opening offices, and I knew that it was like remote from home, which was fine, but I thought they were going to like tell me how to do stuff or teach me or show me. And she like, my boss was like, you already know how to do everything, so I'm just going to like throw you in and you can do it. And then you were asked to come, but there was no need for you to be there.
I remember that day I'd had a meeting that morning. I had a call with like a gym clothing brand, and I literally drove there with this meeting on my car because I had been asked to come to this thing even though I had this meeting. So I literally was like driving through with this meeting on, and it was just a mess. And I remember getting there and being like, why on earth am I here? Like, it was just pointless.
Yeah, because like by the time you came and you sat down, it was sort of like, okay, well, they're just going to leave me to do it. So then I was like, I feel bad for Eva having to come all this way.
I think that also shows the position that my boss wanted me to be in.
Yeah.
She wanted me to be kind of
a mini boss.
She wanted me to take a lot of control of the whole kind of influencer management side of things. And she'd said that to me multiple times. I think she wanted me to be in control and kind of overseeing the whole influencer talent management side of things so that she could focus on bigger things, but wasn't willing to pay me for that, was putting so much work on me.
There was like no training as well.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Did you need it?
No.
Did we need it?
But I thought we did. Like, if you're going into an internship or a job, like, you expect there's going to be some sort of training and you're going to learn things that you don't already know, because otherwise what's the point of...
you need support.
Yeah.
At the start.
Yeah.
To feel like you fit in, you feel welcomed.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of like, okay, right, it's a bit scary, but I'll get there and then I'll figure it out a little bit. Because, like, also, every business does things differently.
Yeah. So they just sort of, like, set me up on their, like, system with, like, their spreadsheets, and they're like, these are our media kits, and here's the login for the emails, just log in and start emailing brands. But I was like...
But I think very quickly they were like, oh dear, she knows what, like, you know what you're doing. And I think they were like, fuck. Like,
yeah, like, in my first day I was already getting, like, paid offers and jobs for the 3 girls that I was managing. And then from there, we had, like, a group chat with, like, the other interns. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the time it was, like, the other interns and girls were like, oh, does anyone have a contact for this brand? Or does anyone have a contact for this brand? And I'm like, finding brand contacts is one of the easiest things ever. It's so easy to do.
You just go on the website.
You Google it.
Yeah, you can Google it. Or like LinkedIn, you can find, like...
I've never struggled to find that.
Yeah. So I was like, instead of, like, wasting hours a day just replying to everyone in this chat, like, I made this... spreadsheet that had all the brand contacts alphabetized, like, by the brand, the person, the email, everything. And I was like, why don't, like, here I've made this, these are all my own contacts, and it was like 200 entries already. Why don't, like, I just make one for you guys, like, copy it, and then everyone can add to it. So if someone's looking for a certain contact, we have them here, and then we can just update it. And the boss was like, yeah, like, let's do that. Everyone make sure you're doing this and that. And it was things like that. Like, you designed all the media kits. I brought in all my own contacts and stuff like that. And then it was like, they ended up putting me on a brand campaign as well. So I had to do all the influencer outreach and stuff for this big brand campaign. It's me, an unpaid intern, emailing and on the phone to, like, Nicole Scherzinger and Pixie Lot's management, being like, what were their rates and stuff for, like, this brand, they want to work with them and pay them. It was a nightmare. I remember messaging the boss in the Tesco car park at, like, 10 p.m, having an argument with the owner of this company, being like, I am so sorry if I'm being unprofessional, but we were working with this beauty brand, and that was who I was doing all the outreach for this agency, and it's me, like, 22 in this car on WhatsApp in an argument with the CEO of this beauty company.
But the reason that was happening was because we were really struggling to get confirmation on things.
Like, there was no haste, there was no...
But you shouldn't have been the one doing that, is the point. I shouldn't have even been, like, the one having that conversation with the CEO. Like, it should have been our boss going, we're going to need answers faster here.
I jumped in to take over this campaign, and there was work from, like, 6 weeks prior that I was picking up. And there were agents messaging me being like, this should have been posted a month ago, this should have been posted weeks ago, like, what's going on? I had to get on the phone to agencies and apologize, be like, I am so sorry that you've had all this hassle. I'm only just coming in now to, like, take over. And it's because, like, the CEO would approve stuff or wouldn't approve stuff, then would change her mind and then would go, can we do this instead? And we're like, no, contracts are signed, you can't change things.
Or can we do this fee instead? Or
we'd agree to a rate, and she'd be like, offer them this rate, it's approved, and then 2 weeks later she's like, I'm not happy with that, we're going to pay her less. I'm like, you can't do that. Like, we've given them the contract that's signed, like, you cannot do that. And the boss is in the chat, like, knowing everything that's going on, but left it to us. So I'm on WhatsApp.
Well, like, to you. I think at that point I was
you weren't in that anymore. So then I'm, like, arguing with this CEO, going like, look, it's been weeks now. I've asked you so many times to do this. You haven't done it. I don't know what else there is to do, but I really need you to, like, sort this out today. This is a priority, and we can't go any further without this. And then I'm having to call my boss and text her, be like, I'm so sorry if you think that was unprofessional of me, but, like, I've reached my limit. Like, we're getting nowhere with her. I can't do my work, etc., etc. And she was like, oh no, don't worry, like, thank you for doing that, like, let me jump in and sort this. But I'm like, it's not I'm an unpaid intern. I shouldn't be getting into arguments with your clients.
And this was in the space of 6 weeks that it's all kicked off.
Yeah, while so I was running that while also managing the 3 influencers.
And also doing the bridal shop.
Yeah, and then my own 4 influencers at my own agency.
Sleep. Not a thing.
No.
Oh my God.
So that they got to the point where I was like, this is just so much stress and hassle. And I was like, I'm going on holiday for my mom's birthday next week. So I'm not going to be able to work. They made me work while I was on my holiday.
Not paying you.
Yeah. So I was like, it got to a point where I was like, I'm going on holiday next week. I'm not going to be able to work. Here's all the work I've been doing. Someone else can pick it up for the week. And like, yeah, that's no worries. That's fine. And then while I'm away, they text me, be like, hey, can you do this? Or hey, can you check this? I'm like, no, I'm on holiday right now. And they're like, oh, well, when you get a chance, like, can you just do this and that? And I'm literally in Poland, like, no, like I can't do this. So
when you're on holiday, no one should be contacting you work-wise.
Or when
you are on holiday.
Well, I went on sick leave.
Yeah.
That's a whole other story. So basically this was like kind of the last 3 weeks I was there.
Around the same time where all of that drama was going on.
So essentially, yeah, this was in the December. I'd kind of been there since March, April. Again, I hadn't taken a holiday, or I hadn't had, like, we did work weekend. We didn't work full weekends, but like it's hard. What I will say is it's hard to switch off in that industry.
Yeah, completely.
But what I will say is that as a director of a business, as an employer, you need to put things in place that things can be either handled over the weekend or out of hours, or that everything is able to be completed in the time frame that they should be working, your employees should be working. And as a business owner now, that's something I would be so conscious of. But, you know, we work 24/7, do you know what I mean? But that's because we own our own businesses. Like, you have no choice, you can't switch off.
Yeah, but I also don't expect my sister to work for me 24/7. Like, she has a work phone that I obviously pay for. She's got that, all her girls know. She only works Monday to Friday during her working hours. She, to be fair, she does not work before 10 a.m. That's the thing. She's like, I will not work before 10 a.m. That's fair enough. You don't have to. You can work in any of the 24 hours of the day. And all her girls know that. She's got her phone and she's contactable. And if, like, yesterday she was working and sending a couple messages to a girl I saw in the chat, and she's like, you know, like, oh, I don't usually work weekends, but like, this was due, so I'm just sorting this. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Like, take days off. And like bank holidays, she's had every bank holiday off. Like, she gets holiday leave and sick pay, even though she's my sister. She still has a contract, she's still an employee. And like, if I choose to work Monday to Friday 7 a.m. till 1 o'clock in the morning, that's my choice. I do not ask that of her. She has set hours, she works that, and if she's at her capacity for the week, she'll tell me.
What kind of happened with me is that I hit a wall, basically. I totally just was so burnt out.
You were so burnt out.
When I look back at pictures of myself from that time, the pictures of me, I'm literally like sheet white, no, like black under eyes. I remember like one night, my like boyfriend at the time, there, like, his mum was unwell or something, and I was like, right, I'm gonna go and see him or whatever. And I remember my boss saying to me, oh, this was like a kind of last minute plan of like, we're going to go out with the girls tonight. So this was like after 5 p.m. This was like 8 p.m. And she's like, are you going to come? And I just put in the chat saying, oh, like, sorry, I can't make tonight. Because that's out of my working hours, do you know what I mean? I said, sorry, I can't come tonight. And then in the chat from everyone, so in front of interns and everything, like not you, like other interns.
Yeah, because I wasn't in that chat.
You
I wasn't allowed to meet any of the other influencers or be invited to any of like the influencer stuff.
Anyway, weird. Basically in front of the chat said, I think you really should make the effort to come. But she didn't know, fair enough, she didn't know what happened. I messaged her privately and was like, this is what's happened. Okay. And I just remember that night, she did say, oh, that's fair enough. And to be fair, she did ask like if everything was fine after. But the point was, there was all these expectations that I had continuously been meeting for months and months and months, and it felt like any time that I like didn't meet this expectation, it was like I felt terrible at my job. Like it was like genuinely felt like I was the worst employee in the world and I hadn't done enough. And I remember one morning, again, this is just, it must have been frustrating for them, but I just totally hit a wall because of the amount that they had pushed me without a break. And I had missed a couple emails that had come in. I'd missed emails that had come in basically, and I woke up, it was like 8 half 8 in the morning, a phone call basically going like, I actually woke up to WhatsApp messages being like, what's happened here, sort of thing, why have you missed these, like, and she phoned me and basically was so angry with me down the phone, and I literally couldn't speak because I was just like, I you know where you're gonna cry. Yeah. I was just like, and I was literally just like tears running down my face and I couldn't speak. She was literally like totally going off on me, and she said to me on the phone, she was like, when I was your age, I wanted to go above and beyond for like my employer. I wanted to show my full potential and all this stuff. And I was just sat there thinking, like, I have done that for you for the last 9 months. And the one time where like you have pushed me to my limits, I've not had a break. I've literally worked beyond my hours months for you. The one like time I've slipped up because I'm knackered and you've given me way too much work, and I've told you that, very much aware that I physically can't do any more. And she was basically just said to me, you're not doing enough. Why are you not, like, and I honestly at that moment I was like, I literally can't do this. Like, I hadn't even gone in my head like, fuck you. It was like, I am terrible at my job. Or in my head I was kind of like, I actually think I told myself that I was like, well, this is my mental health getting in the way of my job. But then I was like, but that's not, that wasn't my fault.
That's awful.
But that was bad.
Do you think that was the turning point?
Yeah, and at that point I was like, I think it kind of did turn to anger a bit, because I was like, you can't speak to me like that. Mm-hmm. But again, it was like, it's just my personality to be like, oh, I have messed up, I have done something wrong. So I remember, like, this is being very like real here, I went to doctors, been going to doctors for like anxiety for years. I've always been on meds the last like 3 years, and I told him, and he went, you need to stop that job. He was like, he signed me off work, basically. He signed me off work. This was like end of November. Oh. He was like, I know, actually, I don't like, I almost feel like, oh my god, that's so bad. Not bad, but I'm like,
not at all.
I think I was kind of made to feel like, no, you're just not working hard enough. Mate, I had literally done so much for you for 9 months.
A doctor told you not to work anymore and signed you off.
He signed me off.
That's the point that it got to. I'm so sorry you had to experience it. That's genuinely awful. At such a young age.
It was really bad timing as well, though, because it was Black Friday week, which... As like
the fact that you're thinking about this as well, you're like, but shit, Doc, it's Black Friday week. What are we gonna do?
No, literally,
the PLT sale is about to drop.
No, it's fucking crazy. Like, well, the industry around that's like the busiest time of year. You'll have multiple calls a day. Like,
but it wasn't just me that thought that. That's what was said to me. It was like I basically had said, like, I put in the WhatsApp chat, which is also so ridiculous. Everything should have been like either face-to-face conversation or a phone
that's
call.
Very unprofessional that you're having to do that in front of everyone else.
Oh no, to be fair,
it sounds like a scare tactic.
She basically said, this is really bad timing. This is Black Friday week. I was like, I've had that thought.
I know. Eve, I don't give a fuck about your mental health. It's Black Friday, girl. Get your ass up and work.
It was basically like, really sorry you're feeling that way, but this is a really bad. And honestly, I think from like what I gathered, like, that week, they just the whole time kept contacting me. It was really, really sorry, and I know you're off ill, but I need you, like, can you give me an answer on this? And that went on the whole week. It wasn't a week off. Did I just fully explain like what happened?
Because that was also around the time when we started to get close, because I didn't know that you were going through a lot of that, but then you also didn't know what I was dealing with them.
Well, this is the thing.
And you didn't want to taint my experience with them. Like, you never once came to me and said, this is happening or this is horrible. And the whole time you were like,
you must have felt
don't let this
pop it. That's awful.
But that was, to be fair, at the time, like, that was my whole life. Like, I didn't really, the only person I saw at that point in time was my work friends and the person I was in a relationship with. I genuinely didn't really see my friends. I was working so much, like, my whole life was just work. But essentially what happened was, I think they probably gathered that I was gonna leave. Like, I think they kind of were like, she's done, like, she's out here. And they they hired
I'm sorry, how could they
else.
be surprised? Oh,
I know.
We pushed this girl to her absolute limits, and her doctors told her she can't work anymore.
No, they have no clue, because it's a big thing there where like everything they do is like big and amazing and fun, and who wouldn't want to be a part of this kind of thing? So like no one would ever want to leave.
I think I was the first person to turn around and go, no, I'm out of here, but like didn't have. There was other people that had left, but it was because they couldn't offer them
a job,
or they couldn't offer them a full-time job, and like they wanted to buy a house or something. Do you know what I mean? For me, it was like, I don't have anything lined up, but I can't be here. I can't do this anymore. But everything that kind of unraveled after that is probably why everything is so bitter. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So basically, this is obviously just from my point of view, but yeah, I basically sent them a message going like, I'm leaving. I said that I was going to focus on uni and that my mental health had been bad, which wasn't a lie.
And they did kind of give you that ultimatum around that. Like, to be like, you need to quit uni.
And I just,
You were like, I'm going back to uni. Yeah. I need to focus on that.
Yeah, but I think they probably knew it was more than that. I don't know if they at that time thought like...
Yeah.
I don't think they obviously had expected it at that point, but I don't think 3 weeks prior they thought she'll be gone, because I was doing so much. And I think maybe once I left, and to be fair, she had said to another girl that worked there, like Eva's just left, you cannot leave me, or I'm... Because can screwed. I say that it wasn't just me that wanted to leave?
Yeah, there was a couple of people.
Well, there was one other girl that was like wanting to leave,
me
and you. But basically, I don't think any of us knew how we were all feeling, and then there was conversations had.
This was like another thing. No, none of the staff really got to talk because we were never allowed to be around each other.
Well, like except from, I mean, like in an intern thing, because obviously me and a couple other girls, we did know each other quite well.
Eva knew everyone, so she was involved in like everything, the social side, the influencer side. She'd go to events and travel for work and do all that. She knew everyone that worked there. I did not. And because it was like remote, they would just be like, all the talent manager interns would meet up at Costa or something, and that's I only knew like 3 people. That was it. They wouldn't ever let us meet the other people that worked there or the other interns, because apparently there was like a bunch of social interns. Never knew them, never knew who they were.
I think that was probably out of like trust, if that makes sense. I think she probably thought you were gonna like...
Yeah, but it's like, how weird is that? Like, I couldn't even meet my colleagues or know anyone else there. I wasn't allowed to like speak to other people. Or
I think the reason, again, things are like quite, I would say, better, because I've seen my old boss, doesn't even like acknowledge me. To be fair, I haven't said anything to her either, but it's probably so better because I think she really trusted me, and I think she really didn't think I was going to go anywhere, and I think she thought I was really like in it for her. Yeah. And you know, truthfully, I really wanted the business to do well. I was so like, and at the end I was kind of like, why have I not put so much energy, but like I was sort of like, I've done so much for this business, I feel, and I've put so much time, effort, and I left, and I was like, I'm not even being... They didn't seem grateful at all. Probably because of just the way that it just kind of ended. Just so like, I don't know. Because also when I left, this was the difficult thing. So obviously both of us we've done like stuff on socials for years. We've done like random PLT collabs, I saw it first collabs,
yes,
misguided and gifting like, for years. It's like 2018.
When I came into the internship, I gave them all of my brand contacts.
Yeah,
but like when we left, they did not like the fact that we were still continuing to work with those brands.
Yeah, so essentially, when I left, I had sent a message to various like people brands that worked in the industry that I knew and I spoke to all the time, being like, you know, like, just so you know, this is like my last day here, like I'm leaving, whatever. And I basically said, like, in the future, if you want to work with me, to contact me directly. But that is because I had literally been in touch with these people or these brands.
And that's such a normal thing to do. Like,
yeah,
when you work in PR, you know everyone in PR, like, after a small amount of time. And, like, especially from the brand side, all the girls jump around from brand to brand. So one will be at, like, one fashion brand, then they'll be at a beauty brand, then they'll be this. You're still speaking to them every day. And when they leave, they always send an email being like, this is my last day here. Like, you can contact me at this email for anything future, like, or I'll be moving to here, etc. etc. Like, that is so normal to do.
And basically that was taken as me stealing clients. So I got an email, basically, like, this is the only time I'd received, like, an email, basically, like, saying, like, your contract has been ended for misconduct. I was like, first of all, what contract?
Yeah.
Second of all, what are you actually on about?
You were already leaving.
Yes, and also, what? So I messaged my boss and I went, what is this? Like, what is this? And basically she was like, yeah, so we've heard that you've been, like, talking with clients. You'd honestly have thought that I had, like, actually taken an influencer and been like, she's coming with me.
Sorry, that's kind of what happened to me though, and they weren't even, like, that annoyed at me for that, because the 3 girls that I was managing there, they all left when I left. Well, like, one of them left to go to a much better agency because there was so many issues with that, like, that's like a whole other thing, and like her story. They just didn't understand her vibe. They weren't putting her forward for work, but also the rates there at that agency were so low that, like, she should have been getting like 5 times the amount, and she is now. So she left, and
girls
then
bawling.
One of the other girls just, like, didn't really do her work, and she didn't do it on time, and she wouldn't reply to messages and stuff. So they were saying that they wanted to drop her anyways.
And that's valid, to be honest, if you're not doing the work. Like.
And then the 3rd girl wanted to leave with me, but I told her, I cannot take you, like, they will murder me. So she ended up going with one of her friends, but we're still very close to this day. But then literally, like, I went in, and then when I left, all my talent left.
Well, and there was a lot of them that did leave.
Left.
So how did you leave?
So I was in the middle of, like, running that campaign for them, and I was like, I'm on holiday, I can't do this. My dad says this is illegal. Like, I just had enough. I was like, I can't. Like, that was my way of getting out, was being like, this is illegal. And they're like, yeah, because an internship is only legal if it's for uni credits, if it's a charity and you're volunteering for it. And I think if they, like, pay for your travel and food, and, like, there's, like, certain criteria they need to meet and certain hours, but it's also like they can't actually, you can shadow an employer, they have to pay for your travel, your food and stuff, but you can't actually be doing the work. You can't, as soon as you're actually doing work in the business, you have to be paid for it by law. So there's, like, a couple other agencies and stuff who do unpaid internships, but they're shadowing the people and seeing what it's like and just assisting with stuff. They're not actually doing the work themselves, and that's fine. We were doing all the work, and it was illegal. So when they came back and said that to me, of the whole, like, it is illegal, but it technically is, but if you feel like you're gaining something from it, I was like, well, I'm not. I've given you all my resources. I'm doing all the work.
I've literally lost.
I'm not getting any support. They were like, well, give us some time and we'll see. We'll put together a job offer. And I was like, okay.
What do you mean time though? Like, surely just do it now.
Yeah, they were like, let us speak to our accountant on Monday. We can offer you something. So I was like, okay. And then, like, a couple hours later, they're like, can you finish up this brand campaign that we're doing? We'll pay you, like, £500 at the end of the month. And I was like, okay, I've done most of it. It's almost done. Like, I'll take the money and then be done. But I was waiting for this job offer, and they had advertised on the socials that they were hiring. You were telling me that you were leaving and stuff. I was like, there's obviously a job going. And I asked them a few times, but I was like, hey, so, like, have you spoken to your account? Is there a job going? Like, what's happening? They just kept, like, pushing it back. And then it got to the point, like, the 3rd time I asked them, they're like, oh no, that £500 we offered you was the job. Like, it's that you finish up and then you leave. And I was like, okay, like, that's fine. Here, I've done everything. That's me out.
Yeah, give me my £500.
But still to this day, I've heard from people, like, girls I knew that worked there and stuff, that they still say that they're annoyed at me or angry at me that I left and didn't accept the job that they offered me. They never offered me a job.
Oh my god, this is messy. Really, really messy.
Well, like, so
I just think like their reality and their events of what happened are completely different to ours. So it's just like it's big, a completely whole mess.
I remember, so that happened in December, and then
that was December.
By the time the March came round, it was actually the week of my birthday, and there was a restaurant opening, and I remember one of my friends was at the event and had basically talked to some of like the new employees that worked there, and they were like, so what is Eva like? And she was like, my friend was like, oh, she's really nice or whatever. So because we've been told that like she like left and like took all the contacts and did all this and did all that, and honestly I was this close to sending a message being like, what are you actually on about? And I was like, you know what, no, it's not worth my breath.
It's not worth it.
But I was so close to being like,
I'm suing you for defamation.
like genuinely just being like, look, like I don't.
And you were literally a kid. This is literally ridiculous. You didn't even do anything. Your mental health was literally on the floor. You wanted to finish uni and you wanted to be left alone. I feel so bad for you guys that you had this awful experience. I didn't even realise the extent of how bad it was.
You know what though, right? If like, I know I'm going to say this and it's going to be really annoying because it's not my place to say anything else. But really, I would say that there was worse that had happened.
Yeah,
with
a
like
lot worse.
Some of my friends,
like
more than one friend, like
just stuff from what I've heard from like other staff and stuff there. Like I got in and got out pretty quickly and was pretty unscathed. Like the actual working environment and no contract and unpaid internships and stuff is just like dodgy overall. But like personally, I was only there for a couple of weeks. They didn't know me personally. I didn't know them.
I think the other thing I like do want to say is obviously this was a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I heard they have contracts now and like are doing things differently. So it's not like they're still doing this. And you guys have your
own agencies.
Yeah.
Let's leave that shit behind.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you. Talk about a bit more about your agencies and who your clients are. Like the best experiences you've had, and then we can get into the bad stuff.
Well, what happened after I left my first kind of role was I went and worked in another talent management agency that was based in London, just outside London. But I worked from home the whole time. And that was maybe about 6 months, I think I did that. But again, like I have to say in terms of like a contract, my pay doubled.
It was insane. Like working in this industry, when you told me that that's how much you were going to get paid a month, my jaw hit the ground because I was like, that's not sustainable for that brand. Like I know their talent and what they're doing, and I was like, how the fuck are they paying you that amount?
Yeah, like it was great. I had a great summer. but like, yeah, but I can't fault them at like that company in terms of like working hours. They were very like, they did not expect me to go up. Like,
they sent you a work phone.
Yeah, I didn't have a work phone at the time. I think the previous company we're talking about they do offer work phones now. Yeah, so that was a better experience. And that kind of just ended because, to be honest, we didn't have the same kind of talent in mind or the same ideas of what would excel the business. I think they brought me on to kind of like build the business and make a kind of push to make it bigger. But any idea that I came up with, they weren't really willing to work on it in terms of like events or like,
because it's not your business.
Yeah, and I think at that point I was kind of like, well, the only choice I really have here is to either work for myself or leave the industry.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
working for yourselves now, how's that?
Tiring.
It's hard. Well, I mean, like both of our businesses are completely different in the sense of like mine's been going on for longer, but also like the stages where we are, we've actually both just like registered as limited companies
rather than being self-employed. So there's a lot of changes that come with that, and a lot of financial changes that come with that.
So much admin and paperwork, having to like register for VAT, but like I'm also because you're also like registering for payroll and stuff, but you're doing everything through an accountant.
Yeah,
I don't have an accountant.
Do it alone.
So I do it all myself, and my dad helps me. But I have like a completely different setup and run my business differently to how you do yours, but also like in terms of payroll and stuff.
Yeah,
I have someone else to pay where Eva doesn't. She's got like her accountant and her other expenses.
So how much money do you get from like everything?
So the way it works is that in terms of like when you're can we actually is it gonna I don't know. So basically
it's like the way that like we make money is we have talent and we take 20% on all their jobs, and we arrange all of their jobs. So we don't just like take money off them. They don't pay a monthly fee or anything to work with us. So it's our job to make all the money. So for me, each of my girls has their own individual email, and it's split 50-50 with me and my sister. She manages half the girls, I manage the other half. And then we will email brands and contacts we have and pitch them for collaborations. And there's all those things that you see on Instagram where it's like sponsored posts and ads and TikToks, YouTube, Instagram, everything.
Which they do get paid a lot for.
Yeah, so it can be like an Instagram post for someone with like 60k could be anywhere from like £600 to 1.5 grand.
I think in terms of like when we're, for example, I did a campaign myself, my Instagram, I've got 9,000 followers.
Yeah.
I did a campaign for Bumble. Are we allowed to say how much they paid me?
Yeah, I think so.
So
yeah.
So I did 2 story posts.
2 story posts for 500.
For £500.
2 story posts for 500. So how did you come up with the rates?
So it's just from being in the industry and knowing how much to charge. Like I was a YouTuber and full-time content creator at uni, so I've been doing this since like 2015, and I knew my rates from like my friends and like what brands would give us, because I've been working with brands since like 2015. So just from like knowing, and then also working on like brand side of stuff, you sort of, brands will give you a budget. Like there's different types of campaigns and brands will pay for different things. So some brands will have like a target to hit where they'll be like, we pay per view or pay per reach or anything like that, so they can only have a set amount, whereas others are like, give us your rates and we'll meet you just below them.
And like some brands will pay a lot of money.
A lot.
How much is the most you've ever made?
Like
from one single sponsorship, like 5.5.
Probably about 5.
Not for myself.
Not my, like,
I was like,
ourselves.
oh.
No.
Okay.
As in like the highest fee we've probably got for someone, but then we're working with talent that are up to
so my talent's anywhere from like 13,000 followers to 250,000.
So is your starting point there, if you see someone with like below 13k, would you not go for them?
No. So I've just signed a girl, really lovely girl, Zara. She's actually a uni student here at Napier and has a TikTok. She's got like 4,000 on her Instagram, 8,000 on YouTube. She's got 20,000 on
8,000 on YouTube?
Yeah.
That's class.
Exactly.
I think I know it. Wait, is it, what's her
Zara loves?
I love her. She's class.
She's so cool. So
I love her TikTok. She did a whole one and she was like, why do we care what people think?
Yep.
Like, I just
She
started
is really
YouTube and
good.
I was like, love you. You're a little queen.
Yeah.
She's cool.
So I met her last week and we signed her, and we've like, she just had her first paid job like the week before around Fly, and we've already setting up paid jobs for her now. So it's like, it's not about the amount of followers you have, because there's a lot of people who have like 100k and just post fast fashion stuff who probably won't ever make that much money.
I was gonna
doing
ask
it.
about
Depends
that.
on like niche, what type of content you make, but also like how consistent and how good your content is, because I know people with under 10k who make more money than people over 100k, because they make really high quality content that brands will like put for ads and like pay for content usage.
It's all about personality, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is. Like, you could like not be your like average influencer and not like post what average influencer, like, I'm saying average influencer, but you know what I mean, like what, like, you can tell
Typical,
there's like a typical like basic,
there's like a Fiat 500 Love Island type of,
there's like that kind of like set level.
That's what the
But
stereotype
like, if
is.
you don't have a personality, you're gonna get nowhere with it.
Yeah.
Like, it needs to come through in your Instagram.
You need to have something
it takes a
different
lot
about
to
you.
push that through social media as well, to like help your personality come through. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think like my brain just went completely blank there.
What was I going to say?
What was I going to say? What did you just say there?
About having a personality.
Yeah, and I think as well, in terms of these fast fashion brands, they don't pay much unless you are Molly May. Yeah.
I was gonna ask you about that because obviously fast fashion is horrific.
Yeah.
Very bad for the planet.
They don't.
How do you feel about working with brands like that?
I mean, most of my talent don't really like fast fashion, but there are a few girls that do like to work with fast fashion brands. I've got one girl who works with like Shein and Romwe, but she does that out with the agency, not through us. But no one else does. Other girls, like half of the girls will work with like PLT and Boohoo and stuff like that. And I honestly think like I'm not here to judge and say you can't work with that brand if that's the brand that you want to work with. Like I try to make sure that all our talent aligns with our core values. But like if a girl comes in and says I want to work with this brand, I'm not gonna be like no, because that's not my it's not my place, it's not my job. It's also like if you're in the fashion industry, there's only so many certain brands that you can work with, and it's also like it gets to this point where everyone is terrible. So you could be doing your best and trying to like work with ethical small businesses and this and that, and then someone is still going to be complaining that that's not good enough. You could be saying that you only shop secondhand at charity shop and Depop, and then someone's going to be like, well, you're raising the prices and you're taking clothes away from people who are poor and need it. Like it's this cycle of like nothing is ever good enough. And I think if you know your audience as well, if you're a uni student and you're promoting someone like PLT because that's what you can afford, if you start coming out being like, I'm only working with this high-end sustainable, one t-shirt is £150, like you don't know your audience, like no one's going to buy that. That's not true to you because you can't even afford that yourself. So I think the whole like fast fashion industry and opinions and that, it's like the deeper you go, just like the more complicated it gets.
Would you ever think about getting to a point where you leave it behind?
I mean, most of the girls like I work with only sort of work with them on a gifted basis or like for events and stuff. They don't do paid work with them. They don't actively want to be like, I want to have a collection with them, or I want to do this. Like my girls work with brands like Bumble and Adobe and Apple
that pay
HelloFresh.
The lifestyle beauty they pay,
and tech
well, and tech
tech pay. So like one of my girls, one of the talent I had just went away a couple of weeks ago with Toyota on a staycation. So it's like that's
Where?
my expertise is like those somewhere in England. They took,
like
she got to, it was for the car. They gave her the car for a weekend and then paid for her to go to like this spa place in England. So they drove there and she had like drone footage and everything. It was great.
That's absolutely mental
but
to me.
It's also like most of my girls are doing travel stuff right now. So one of them is on a cruise with Virgin Voyages.
I need to up my Instagram.
The last like two big collabs we did was like half of the girls went away with the Love Holidays and was doing stuff with them. So like that's the stuff that we sort of do more.
My issue is not even an issue, I can't complain, is there's probably about two of the girls I have, fast fashion brands love them and will pay well for them, and I have such a good relationship with those talent that I would not want to be like, well, I'm not gonna help you with this. I think it'll definitely get to the point where they will move on in their life, career, and just like their style, and they won't work with those brands anymore. I'm even seeing that kind of change happening, and I think that will happen like the later they get on in their 20s
it's like
and stuff like
quiet
that.
Luxury is the new trend.
Yeah.
Have you ever had to drop clients?
Yes, I have.
How come? Silence.
So it's like if you come into this industry and you sign with a manager, you're gonna make money, or like that's the goal. And if you're not making money, why aren't you? So like if you have like 100k or so and you're not posting, then I can't really make you money. Like it's a two-way thing. Like I can sit here and reach out to all the brands and like put in all the work and effort,
but you need to play your part.
If you're not gonna actually go and shoot the content, then I can't help you. Like what's the point of this relationship type of thing?
You need to put your work in.
Yeah, so it's a waste of your time, it's a waste of my time. So that's not to say that like oh, if you don't make money, I can't take you, or I'm going to drop you if you don't make money 1 month. Like that's not it at all. But I've had a couple girls sign on who they're like really motivated and really wanted to like get into it and do it, and then they just never posted, or they didn't have time for it, or
they're late.
They're late so much with work that it then reflects badly on you. And it's just like sometimes like it's better for both of you just to end it. But I've also like worked with girls who have under 10k and say, I'm not posting on social media unless it's paid, and I'm like, that's not realistic. You're not gonna be able to grow. There's only so much I can do. Like I've had to drop someone before because they weren't happy like that we were taking a cut, but it was actually only 15% at that time, which is
what do they expect from you though? Like that you're just gonna do the work for them and just not take any money?
There was some girls in the start of my agency who felt like because they were like this original creators I signed and top talent, that they should get priority over other people, even if they were the smaller type of influencers.
I think that's when, like, this is something I definitely want to talk about. The problem that I have had a lot in the industry is like, you become friends.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah,
you become
friends with your talent, and they take advantage of you and don't respect.
Yeah, how do you keep that separate? That's really, really hard.
I've lost friendships because of it. Like I had the opposite. Like I took on friends, and then it just did not go well. They did not respect me. They weren't happy with the work I was doing, so I left it up to them if they wanted to leave, and then they decided to end our friendship because they felt like I was firing them. You don't get fired from an agency. You're not an employee. Like
I think for me, I've only recently been able to kind of get that courage almost to make boundaries and to draw a line. And I think that especially now, like when I'm bringing new people on, they know what my boundaries are and the expectations. And yeah, I think not even in just terms of like talent, I think in terms of like people that you work alongside, and even, you know, talking about like previous places that we've worked, I have really struggled when it comes to like there's been a problem in, you know, a workplace, or you leave a company and there's like kind of bad blood, because you are losing a friendship, someone that you spoke to every day. That is actually really difficult. It's probably not, I think I feel that more than other people do. It's just, again, it's just my personality.
But I think it just shows who your real friends are.
Yeah,
because if they don't respect you when you're trying to help them,
I know.
What kind of friend is that?
I know, exactly. And especially when you're doing a lot for them.
What are some good experiences you've had? What's like a really exciting thing that's come out of your job and you're like, that is so class?
We are so lucky. It's definitely not easy to, especially having your own business, it's not easy, but having the freedom to go anywhere in the world and still work.
It's like a privilege to have this as a job.
Yeah.
It's a privilege to be able to do this, you know what I mean?
We do get a lot of good experiences, free holidays, a lot of free gifts. It is a really good job.
It's a graft, but like there's a lot worse out there. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
1,000%.
I feel honoured to be able to do a podcast and work for the BBC. Like, not everyone gets to do that. Yeah. And I think we're all very aware of like how lucky we are. Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of people are not aware, and I think that's when it goes wrong.
100%.
Yes. I think like someone's intentions and motivations behind why they do something too. Like the people who actually love what they do are the ones that go far. The people who don't like really care and are just in it for themselves, whatever.
Or the money, even just the money.
They drop off. It shows.
It really
for
shows.
Sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's tough because like you want to like talk like open and honestly about this, but like a lot of it comes across as negative, but like I know you guys actually love what you do. We've just had a really like tough conversation about it.
Like I would not continue to put myself through this if I didn't love it.
I wouldn't be doing my everyday in the life everyday day in the life.
Yeah.
Literally, like I'd share my whole day. If it was like that shit, I wouldn't be uploading it online.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I think it's just important to talk about the bad side of it, because you guys have been through it, especially with like your previous experiences. Like it's important to open up about that and like not paint this picture of like it's all perfect.
Yeah.
I've got this great life and making so much money, because it is a total graft. It's like 24/7 thing.
That's
but like
what you
choose
see
to do that
on Instagram as well. Like no one knows about this kind of things, because when you see it on Instagram, it's like so fun. You get to see all the highlights and the fun things you get to do with your job and your work and stuff, and people are there going like, I want to do that too, and you don't actually realize like what it is.
I don't
actually
talk
like.
about how cripplingly bad my mental health is at times, you know what I mean? Like I even did a podcast where I started crying. I was with one of my pals, thankfully. I started like breaking down. I had to stop and we had to change the subject and do a completely different episode within like 2 minutes. Like you don't really talk about that sort of stuff. Or like when I wake up and I'm like so shattered and I'm like, shit, I need to bash out 3 episodes today, and I need to go back to Glasgow because I'm working at the BBC the next day. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't talk about like how exhausted I am, you know what I mean?
That's the thing, like there's nobody standing over you going, you have to do this, if that makes sense, except your brain going, if I don't do this, I'm going to let people down and I'm not going to make money, I'm not going to be able to
if I don't do this,
live.
I'm fucked. I've got nothing going for me apart from that. You know what I mean? I don't have a degree in my back pocket, and I'm not going back to uni. But again, like I choose to do this, so I can't really sit and complain. But people need to realise that like you do have a life like outside this, and like we're trying so hard, and you want to make it work.
Again, it's going to sound so negative, but there has like a lot of the time I feel like that like working in this industry, or even just like again having my own business, it has got in the way of like relationships and friendships. Probably not as much for you, like we're in very different situations. Emmy's been in like a long-term relationship for like how long? 4 years?
4.5 years.
No,
he said 5 years last night. I was like, it's not been that long.
So where's the ring?
I know.
It does get in the way of friendships. Like I feel like I hardly see my pals anymore, because I'm actually like, oh sorry, I need to go back to Glasgow, got work,
well,
I need to do this, need to do that.
On our last episode of a podcast, Eva was saying that like she had people in her life say to her, if only you loved like hanging out with us just as much as you love going to free events.
That was actually a relationship I was in.
Relationship. Yeah.
It was like
because it's like I see so many people on a weekly basis at events and stuff, but they're all for work.
Well, this is the thing. I don't think people realise, like, people are like, oh my god, like you're out on a weeknight, you've been out at 3 events this night, like you've been to Tiger Lily this week, you've been to Virgin Hotels this week for like drinks, and it looks really like glamorous,
but you're networking.
It is all network, because it's like a lot of these brands that we work with do end up doing like paid stuff, and like put our girls forward for that, and it's like we go with our talent to build these relationships with brands and have future work and stuff, and so much has come from it, but it's exhausting in the moment. You're like, I really don't want to go tonight, like I'm so tired, but it's like
you need to stick on a face, and you just need to go and like,
which sounds like so first world problem, like, oh my god, I can't believe
I mean,
I have to go to an event tonight. Like,
it is a first world problem, but like it is like it's something that you have to deal with in your industry.
But like that's our version of like getting up and going into the office for 4 hours type of thing,
except it's 6 p.m. and it's a drinks reception.
But
what do you hope for the future for both your brands? I don't know why you're not merging. Like, do you know what I mean?
There's
I don't want to fucking work with her.
Well, I think honestly, I would, in like the distant future, I wouldn't like rule it out completely, because it might get to a point where like
you might
she's
as well,
like,
it just
fuck
makes
that.
sense.
But like
never want to work with you. No, I mean, so much of what we do crosses over anyways. Like we have our podcast, and then we've got like,
you do have your podcast. I didn't mention that, sorry.
No, but it's hard to keep up with.
We do have plans and stuff for future work and projects and stuff coming out of like that work and the stuff we do together. But everyone already thinks that we work together anyways. Like we do pretty much work together.
And I think people probably get confused how there's no like competition between us if we're basically working in the same city, same industry. But I think different. That like what the talent we have and our brands, the branding in general, it is very different.
It's very, very different.
But I also think there's not really a part of either of us that like even like see each other's competition. Emmy will like secure a really good rate for one of the girls and be like, email them, or I'll copy you in and speak to them. Like it's, and we do also give each other like credit where it's due sort of thing. Amy sorted the Bumble collab for me and I was like, take your cut. Do you know what I mean? It's not as if we're like...
Yeah, like they're like, we need more single people to put through. And I'm like, well, I only have like 3 out of my 12 girls that are single.
And I'm in a very long-term relationship here.
So I'm like, Eva, you want to do it? She's like, yeah. I'm like, any of your talent you want me to put forward for? Or like, I'll be emailing someone and I'll be like, send me over your girls' media kits right now because I'm like emailing this brand. And she's like, yep, here's so and so. Or she'll be like, oh, I'm working with like uni days, whatever. I'm like, oh, who are you speaking to there? And she's like, here's the email. Like there's no, oh, I'm not going to give you that because you're going to take it away from me because we know it's not like that.
Do you want like an office space in the future?
Yes, we I mean, like, I feel like the first thing when we got our businesses, the first thing each of us individually did was like office space. Here we could work, but like it's not a priority. Well, I've said like it'd be so fun to get like a joint office space.
Yeah, where we could have a
wall down the middle.
Or maybe like a little curtain that you can hey girl.
But like I want an office, like all the studios in Edinburgh are freaking closing. Like last time I was at Bleach, they're like, we're shutting down now, and I'm like, it's
okay, we'll take the space.
Yeah, so my agency rents out a studio every 3 months for the talent to shoot content in, and now we're having to go through to Glasgow, which is fine because some of the girls in Glasgow, but it's annoying for me. I don't want to drive at 7 o'clock in the morning through to Glasgow. So like I know what I want from an office space, and I want a studio in there that I can also then rent out to other creatives and stuff, but also like my girls can come and use, and then like we could shoot the podcast and do things like that. And I think for me to do that, I'm gonna have to actually like buy a commercial space.
What advice would you give to girls who might want to start their own agency or want to become an influencer?
I think it would go with people that want to be an influencer, you have got to want to do it for more reasons than just the money. You've got to really enjoy doing it. I think you've also got, if you want to be able to grow, you need to have something different about you. You can't fall, like there's people I see on TikTok, for example, that are genuinely just trying to be exactly the same as someone else.
Yeah, copy paste.
Just doesn't work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's boring. I think it's not authentic, and I think things are getting really boring. Samey online. Like you've got to bring something else to the table and be.
But what else is there to bring?
I know.
So, I mean,
you think that you think that like this is like our thing. Like there's no one on YouTube right now. Like I could name all of the top British YouTubers on both of my hands, and that's it. Like no one else is doing anything right now. But everyone thinks it's so oversaturated. It is in like other areas, but there's like ways for you to be a creator and stand out, and it's consistency, and like you just have to do it. Like the number one thing people always message me and ask me is like, oh, like I really want to start, I just don't know where or how to. I'm like, you just have to. Like you will figure out. You're not going to go in with a business plan and be like, I'm going to be an X type of creator and this is the format for my content and this is how it's going to go. No, you figure it out. You see what people like, what goes viral, like what works, and it's like a slow thing over time. But like my girls who have all gone full time, they post every week.
Yeah, you've got to be consistent.
Yeah, consistency is literally key.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't just post a podcast episode once a month. Like
people lose interest.
People lose interest and they won't take me seriously. That's why I just got to do it every week without fail. Who gives a shit what's going on? Post. It doesn't matter. You just have to turn up, and you need to show that you're here and you're here to stay.
One of my girls, Shannon, she's literally been making YouTube videos since like 2018. She's been wanting to be an influencer for so long, and she is full-time. She's been full-time for the last year or so, but it's like you have to be in it for the long haul. It doesn't happen overnight. That's the other thing. People
expect it to be an overnight fame thing, but like, and also if you think that that's what's gonna be like, you're in it for the complete wrong reason. You need to be in it because you actually like doing it, not because you want the fame, you want the money, and that will show through your work. 100%. Any last bits of advice you'd give people?
You need to always like set boundaries. I think I wish I'd done that earlier.
That's a good one,
because I definitely have not started setting boundaries until recently. And if you don't set boundaries, people will take advantage of you. I think especially if you're young, you will want to go into a business and you'll want to like show them everything that you can do. You're going to want to work so hard, which is great, but make sure you're actually being paid. If you're, do you know what I mean?
Of course.
It's so hard. What do you think?
I don't know.
something that I would like to work out for myself is more of a work-life balance. I think that
that does not exist.
Doesn't exist
for us.
No.
And what about you? What advice would you give?
Like in general, or for business or
Anything.
influence? Oh God.
What advice would you give me as talent? But to be fair, I'm not really wanting to do the same. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I don't want a brand to. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like though, like what has been seen with other like podcasters, even people like that we know, as they do have like a personal brand. I feel like someone like you if you like, I take it you're going to be working more with the BBC. Do you want to go into like presenting and stuff? Really? What is it you want to do? Yeah.
Honestly, I love podcasting. I love chatting. I want to be paid to talk and talk about important things and interview people, and I don't know, like hopefully make a difference in the world. Who doesn't want to do that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think just, I don't know, like.
You ever worked with podcasters?
Yeah, but they haven't like continued to do the podcast.
Oh, that's nice. But podcasting is like, it is a graft.
It's a hard one. Like,
what podcasting?
Yeah, like what was that statistic where it's like,
only 1% of podcasts make it past the 5th episode.
Yeah.
And a further 1% makes it past episode 20. How mental is that?
That's crazy.
I know, fried.
We were talking about that last time.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're doing great.
Thanks. I don't need any. Just stay consistent, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all consistency. I think networking's a big one that people underestimate.
But also, like, this is our thing that's hard, is if you're new to the industry, it's knowing who to trust and who not to trust.
Yeah.
And I think, like, especially being, like, women in an industry, like, you know, we have had conversations that we've been like, oh my God. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like you have to stick by people.
Know who to trust.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Which is hard.
Now I've got a lot to go and think about. I'm like, who do I trust? I'm like, do I trust those girls?
See, I'm like, if I'm over here like, not that deep. Like,
I think I am just someone that when someone is like almost in my circle, or if I trust them.
The thing is, I trust like anyone. I don't trust people with my podcast, but I'll literally trust anyone. I could trust a bloody psychopath. I would be like, you could take care of me.
I could tell anyone anything, but then I go, because I think I just like assume someone is my friend and they're not.
But when it comes to work, I don't really trust people. I'm like, what do you want?
What do you want from me?
Thank you so much for joining me, girls. I want to do a follow-up episode to this.
There's more to say
when I hit episode 50.
Yeah.
If I make it. No, I'm joking.
You will.
Thank you so much, Queens. Thank you for sharing.
us.
And also good luck.
Thank you.
It's a jungle.
It is.
Thank you, girls.